roll call vote. Roll call.
Thank you. Tracy Taravallo,
Here.
John Chattel is excused absent. Glenda Willie.
Yep.
Ted Gaithy,
Present.
Emily Heff.
Here.
Allison Schweitzer,
Present.
Rudy Salacorey.
Here.
Everybody.
Okay, the next order of business is the approval of the August 6th, 2025 meeting summary. Are there any changes, additions, corrections to those meetings of the August 6th, 2025 meeting? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve. Move to approve. Is there a second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next order of business is the Clean Water 6-year capital plan presentation.
And there were no public comments.
Oh,
Let's see.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No worries. All right. Oops,
We make
just
problem.
one second here.
Yeah.
Just 1 second here.
Overview
I am
since
sorry.
I have a quick question while we're pulling that up, since we know that one of our commissioners might have to potentially leave, or I don't want to speak for your schedule, Allison, but I know you have some things going on where you may have to bounce out at any point. Is that correct?
I should be okay to stay through the meeting.
Okay, great. I was going to ask to move up the approvals, but we can keep them where they're at.
Thank you, Devin.
Yeah, but I know, I'm getting there.
I mean, I'll give that.
I forgot to put the other stuff in.
Before you say anything.
See, now we're getting to you. There we go.
Oh, that's me. Here. All right. Let me just do this from right here.
Yeah, and if you want, I've also got it written.
Actually, probably keep it. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for letting me come and talk a little bit tonight about the 6-year capital plan, the 2026 to 2031 stormwater capital plan. Everybody hear me okay if I talk about that loud? Okay. So real quick, goals and agenda. A lot of this might be reviewed for some of you who have seen it before, last year's or other times. Some will have this be their first time through, I think. So, but what we like to do is go through a permit overview, just a real brief touch point there for how the capital plan fits into the permit, county policy goals, regulatory requirements, and then I'll do a quick recap of the 2025 work that we've done, and then go into a little bit about our priorities and project types and the funding outlook for the next 6-year cycle. I've got a slide or two about just 2026, because that's the right up front time of our plan. So that's kind of the stuff that's imminent and happening. And then just a real quick overview of the public outreach and schedule that we've gone through with this particular plan year. So next page, yeah. So just a couple of quick reminders, and this is a presentation that we have not brought to anyone besides the Clean Water Commission and Council in years past. But starting this year, we also had a chance to speak with the Planning Commission about our capital planning. So we were at a hearing, and then also, a work session and a hearing. And then we also spoke to DEED this year for the first time, Development Engineering Advisory Board. So it was really cool. But since those folks didn't have as much familiarity with our programs, this is just a quick reminder slide of a couple major differences between our project or our program, say the transportation improvement program. So reminder number one, capital program in stormwater does not construct stormwater facilities that support new development, right? So everything we do in this program is addressing impacts from existing development. We don't put stuff out there that then people buy into or it supports future development. Second piece is brand new in 2025, and I think those of you who were around for the rate study are familiar with this. Beginning this year, we are partially funded by the real estate excise tax 2 of $2 that the county gets. And this has kind of created more of our nexus with Clark County's overall comprehensive planning process, and thus the reason we went to the planning commission. And then finally, the council, we don't do a formal adoption. It's not required by statute, but we do a formal adoption. It is not required by statute, but we do find it helpful for grants and just to kind of keep us more in lockstep with the rest of the capital programming that goes on for the county, particularly in public works. So we don't have a public hearing for it, but we adopt it annually by resolution at one of the council's typical monthly or bi-weekly.
So, Jeff, is the RE2 funding going to extend throughout the entire capital program life?
Yes, sir. Well, the 6-year program.
6-year
Yeah.
program?
Who knows in the future, but yeah, it's programmed out that far. Yep. And I'll talk in a little more detail about the dollar amounts and stuff in just a bit here. Next please, Al. Okay, so our framework and regulatory requirements, familiar to many of you. Our policy at the county is, of course, meeting the phase 1 municipal stormwater permit requirements that apply to this particular planning and capital construction work. As we do that, our goals are always to protect and enhance our streams and wetlands, minimize stormwater impacts to receiving waters, and where we can, we want to maximize public benefits of our county-owned land. Specific requirements on the regulatory side under the permit, we have a requirement to have a stormwater management for existing development program. New name under the new permit. Yep, it's the SMED now. It used to be the Structural Stormwater Controls Program for those who have been around the permit for more years. Changed name. Basically, that is aimed entirely at preventing or reducing impacts from stormwater to waters of the state. We also have stormwater management planning requirements that we are working on through our SMAP project right now. We're working on some of the lower Salmon Creek basins. And then, of course, a myriad of maintenance and operations and inspection type of requirements. The maintenance and operations part does come into our capital programming as well. There's another separate requirement at the state, underground injection control, also known as dry wells. So classified injection wells that take stormwater and put it back into the ground. So we have 1,800 or so of those that we own at the county. And back in 2012 or 13, we went through a process of evaluating all of those dry wells and evaluating whether they pose a threat to groundwater. And so out of that 1,800 back at that time, there was about 40 of them that we did find had basically wet heat, which is a violation. You got to have that separation between the bottom of the dry well and the groundwater. Weren't meeting that. So starting in 2015, we've been chugging through those 40 dry wells and getting them retrofitted or removed and replaced so that we have compliant systems in those cases. So we're almost done with those, and the few that are left are questionable, and we're going to be reevaluating to see if we actually do need to do something there or not. So that does it for regulatory. Okay. Ooh, hopefully you guys can see that. I wish you got how small this television is here, but so 2025 stormwater capital summary. We had probably our busiest year ever, I think, and also our largest budget ever for a single year in the capital program this year. So we had 8 projects under construction or in construction phase, and I've got those kind of lined out there. Of course, the big one there at the top is the Heritage Farm wetland restoration. Big project out there at the farm. We have 3 pretty good sized water quality projects on the Highway 99 and 99th Street corridors. We had a reforestation program out at what's called the Schreiber Northwest property. It's out on the East Fork Lewis River, kind of across the river from the Center Bottom, kind of in that range. That planting has not yet taken place, but that'll be in November. We can do those planting projects as late as we can, better survivability of the plantings and things like that. So that's upcoming. And then on the second column, we had 3 major repair projects that were constructed by our internal operations crews for us, which is always a money saver and a nice way to do stuff when
You guys got muted.
I don't know if folks in the room can hear us. Can you hear us? Alice, you're muted.
Alice, you're muted. Uh-oh.
Okay, there we go. Sorry, I accidentally had turned off Teams.
Can you hear us?
are we back?
I think we're back.
Now we can hear you. We just can't see the room.
So sorry. Oh, do that. Just a second. So much for trying to make sure everything was nice and easy.
You know what? Quick fix.
Again.
Good.
Better.
Thank
Good.
you for getting us back on.
There we go.
Yep, so sorry about that.
I think we're still missing the room though.
How about now?
You were on Zoom.
I know. Yeah.
We see your beautiful face, Alice. We just can't see the rest of the room.
I think you might have to switch the camera to the.
Oh,
It
so
is. Just 1 second.
There you are. Or there you all are.
It went back to doing. Okay, we're good now.
Except for this one.
Now you share the.
Two different computers, mouses.
You have the room and the presentation, and you can hear us. Amazing. So Alice is navigating 2 computer systems right now, so thank you for bearing with us. It's actually very complicated to set this room up. So, all right.
Okay.
Great job, Alice. All right.
Thanks.
under pressure, technology under pressure.
All right,
Good job.
so sorry about that.
No
I was trying to
worries.
make sure nobody popped in and emailed or did something.
All right. Well, that's the end of my presentation.
Nice try, nice try.
All right. So we were at the major repair project. I'm not quite too sure when we cut out on the sound. So I'll start right there. Major repair projects. So we did have 3 of those larger repairs. Oftentimes we use our internal county water quality crews out of the road operations group or division to do these large repair projects. We get a little better bang for the buck on that. We had 3 of those this year, all of which are finished as of last week. And then, of course, some of our projects, especially reforestation, once they're constructed or planted, there's several years of kind of ongoing upkeep of them. So we have one of those for a recent reforestation project down in Salmon Creek. So additionally, so that's the 8 or so that we had on the ground this year, and then we had 8 more actively in the design phase, queuing up next year or next year. So there's this rolling cycle that we do. So budget was about 5.5 million this year. Like I said, that's about the largest budget for a single year that I can remember for our capital stuff. So that was kind of exciting. Large reason for that is that Heritage Farm Wetland Project, which I think some of you have seen, but that's what that photo is, or that graphic is there, is the basic layout of the plans for that project. And I'll show you some photos of that here in a moment. Maybe in one, like right now. It might be on the next slide.
How many of you have drove by and seen all the dirt? Anybody? It's pretty significant.
Yeah, looks a lot different. It's worth a swing by. So both of these photos, courtesy of Subhas Pujal, who is our stormwater engineering clean water. So he's up. This is at Heritage Farm. one on the left is a quick shot of working on the sewer line install or reinstall. So we had to move that whole sewer line over. That was a challenging part of the project. Simultaneously with working on that, they were also working on grading the big wetland restoration part. And the photo on the right is one of the large control structures, kind of at the downstream end of one of the pond cells that'll take water then underneath for the next pond cell. So exciting to see that one moving along. Next one. There you go. And this one is one of our projects on Highway 99th Street this year, and this is almost right directly in front of Plymouth River High School on 99. The photo on the left is them setting a concrete vault structure. It's an 11 cartridge vault that we have at that location. That thing weighed 36,000 pounds, 18 tons. That unit. I was amazed at the weight of it. So they had to get a pretty good sized crane to drop that thing in there. That's again one of the larger structures that we put in on these sort of roadway retrofit projects. It's nice when we can get a vault system like that, because then we can put all of our effort into that one spot, right? And we don't have to distribute it like 15 different spots. So when we're doing maintenance, changing out those cartridges, easier for the crews to just get them all right there. So we do that when we can, but this is one of the larger installations that we've accomplished. And then the other one on the right is that same location. It's the control manhole again that takes water from the main system and shunts it over into the treatment and then back in. So a cool action shot. Yeah.
Are those the fast absorb cartridges?
Those are
Yeah.
correct. Yeah. Yep. All of them. Next please. Okay. Those are just a couple of action shots from this year. Looking ahead, so now on this new plan, 26-31, our priorities very similar to what they've been for the last number of years. Always put the microphone on. Always required capital repair projects are top of the list. So anything that costs more than $25,000 to fix when it comes to a stormwater facility automatically ratchets into the category of capital repairs under the permit. So they go into our capital plan and are paid for through the capital budget rather than staying in the standard maintenance plan maintenance budget. Water quality treatment, we've been focusing really hard on Lower Salmon Creek tributaries, Cougar Suds, Tenny. Lalonde is the most recent one that we finished. There's a couple of new projects this year from that subwatershed. Mentioned reforestation. Our goal is still 6 acres a year, or at least 30 acres every 6 years. We're a little ahead of that. We're through our first 6 years, and we were just above 30 acres. And in this next 6-year plan, we hope to be closer to 40. So we're kind of growing that program a little bit as well. And then, of course, property acquisition for stormwater benefits. We work with the Legacy Lands program pretty closely. They've got a series of projects or potential acquisitions that they're always working towards. When we find one of those that is kind of in a place where we feel it's a stormwater benefit, we will offer to help out a little bit with those costs. And so we'll put a little bit of our capital money in there. We do get points for that SMED requirement for purchasing property in that way. So it's a win-win there. And then starting in 2026, we are going to be ramping up a little bit into more major repairs for detention ponds and aged out treatment. That's stuff coming directly from the rate study work that we did last year with council and the direction that they were wanting us to head in. And of course, the little picture on that one is my favorite project, which is Philbrook Farm, that we are still working on a fix for. But we're getting there.
Have they done the groundwater stuff yet?
Yeah, that's the mounting. Yeah, we haven't done the mounting analysis yet. So we're kind of narrowing in pretty quick. Cool. So, yep. Thanks, Del. Next, please. Okay, well, this is a little hard to see, but that's okay because it's last year's map. So that tells you that I'm not quite finished with the process yet. This looks a lot like the map you'll see in the final product this year, and a lot of the projects are still obviously part of the plan. And that inset map is kind of that core lower Salmon Creek area. You can see the intersection of 205 and 5 there at the very top. And so we're kind of down in that triangle a lot, working on some of those really heavy developed areas, high traffic areas that were developed when there was little to no stormwater treatment required. So we feel like that's a pretty good bang for the buck. All right, next one. All righty, familiar looking pie chart. So we have 31 projects in this particular plan. Total is about $19.8 million. And as you can see there, the two biggest pie pieces are the water quality piece and the capital repairs piece. And that is largely because we're looking at ramping up those capital repairs primarily, well, not primarily, including some of our aging out infrastructure, as well as kind of the first shot at dealing with what we expect to find with our pipe inspection program, which is that we have a lot of pipes that could use help. So the later years of the 6-year plan really see that ramp up on the pipe. Oh, sorry, Tracy, I didn't see that.
Jeff, can you tell me what the difference is between stabilization habitat and reforestation?
Yes, I can. Maybe. So basically habitat, reforestation is only planting the riparian areas, right? So we are coming in and putting native vegetation on county lands that don't have it, or it's all, reed canary grass, swamps, or whatever. So very specific to just reforesting. The stabilization habitat part is more in-stream work. Those are projects where we're going to be modifying the channel within the stream, recapturing floodplain areas, trying to slow down water with log jams, those kinds of things, protecting infrastructure, protecting against channel erosion. So that's kind of the split there, although habitat does kind of bridge the gap between those two. Does that help? Yeah, cool. Awesome. Yeah, so hopefully we'll see, both of those big pieces be kind of our priorities. But yes, then we do have a couple of spots where we're doing some property acquisition. One of them here in 2026, and then one I think in 28, and then a little bit of reforestation. Actually, a ramped up reforestation, almost $1 million worth of reforestation projects over the next 6 years, which is kind of cool. The little hydrology one there is just the remnants of the cost for Heritage Farm, which will roll over. That big project, the whole project is more like $4.5 million, but this is just the last piece of it. So, okie doke. Next, please. Okay, so coming back around to funding a little bit. Clean Water Fund, about $7.2 million of this 19.8, and then, like I mentioned before, the REIT, we're at about 7.2, almost exactly the same amount from REIT and from Clean Water. And then grants, we are anticipating about $5 million towards that 19. So pretty optimistic about our current chances. So we'll just kind of play that out and see how it works. But that's, I think, a reasonable goal given the ones that we're going to be trying to apply for. So, and then of course we have our one loan that we got for the Heritage Farm project. That's the $3.4 million loan, 20-year payment term at 0.4, which wasn't bad.
I'd like to get one of them.
So, yeah. I really want to get their mortgage redone at that thing. So anyway, so that's our funding. And then I didn't update the graphic on the right. I just kind of left that as a reminder of, like, up through 2023, a couple of years ago now, we were at about 72% of our capital work has been done using Clean Water Fund, and approaching 30%, 28% or so between state grants and then direct legislative provisos where the legislature has just assigned money for a project, right? So that is a percentage that we're proud of, but also one that we would like to increase. That 28%. I think we could keep bumping that a little bit with our grant focus these days. So,
Well, Jeff, going back to well on real estate excise tax.
yeah.
Is that dependent upon a fund balance? Are you projecting ahead what those real estate excise tax receipts are going to be 5 years from now? I'm just wondering where you came up with the figure.
Yeah, the figure was actually kind of given to us as we went through the process last year, and I believe Devin can help me out here a little bit, but there is a fund balance in the REIT 2 pot, and I think they are looking at how that gets spent down between the various sources that use it, and so they didn't want to give us too much of it; they wanted to give us some, so they landed in that middle ground. So, and I don't remember what the balance is like.
Yeah, I don't
But-
want to speak to the balance, but there was analysis done by our budget office to determine how much within primarily public works each group could safely utilize. And I believe it was approximately 1.5 million a year that they wanted us to account for, which helped us buy down the rates. As you're very familiar with, you guys wrote a letter about that actually last year. I know there's been more discussion. I haven't been a part of those discussions, but it is something that I think they're looking at more closely, just given the current funding situation. But this amount, we are confident that over the next, at least through the end of our rate study duration, which is through 2029, that we can plan for the 7.2 million approximately. But when we ask for a rate increase or look at changing our rates in 2029, that assumption could change around how much that we have. So I would say safe through 2029.
Cool. Thanks, Devin. Next, please. Okay, look ahead real quick. Next year, like I say, first year of the plan is always the most locked in, so we're pretty sure about these things that we're going to try to do. So another fairly big construction year, 7 more projects, 3 more major repairs, couple more Highway 99, big projects along the high traffic roadway there for our water quality improvements. Another phase of the Schreiber reforestation that starts this year. And then, like I mentioned, there's an acquisition there that Legacy Lands is looking at in Three Creeks Greenway, which is kind of that Lower Salmon Creek area as well. Although I don't know which Three Creeks actually they mean by the Three Creeks Greenway. I should ask them. And then establishment on the vegetation at Schreiber and the vegetation at Heritage. And again, we'll have another 8 projects, some of the same 8 from this year, but just still rolling through that process. $3 million next year, which is a little bit more on averagey for what we're hoping to continue, about a $3 million annual budget. So, and those two pictures there actually are, sorry, Alice, I take you out. So those are a couple of those repair projects that our internal crews did, where we are essentially, actually both of these are replacing non-functioning old school biofiltration swales that are located in areas that are either too wet to actually be a swale correctly, or are in areas that they were built in spots that we can't actually go to and legally maintain them because they're in a wetland buffer or they're in a wetland proper, and somehow they were built in those places, but now we can't really actually go in there and do much with them. So we're just wiping them away in those couple of cases and throwing in some more of those cartridge systems to reclaim the failing treatment they should be getting down below. So and those are pretty efficient projects with our guys. You can see on that one on the right how clean their work is. They do a great job of fitting these things in. Better concrete work than we see oftentimes on the contractor end, that kind of thing. So we're really pleased with their work product.
Who's the prime on that?
I'm sorry.
Who's the prime on that?
Oh, that's our.
Oh, that's your guys.
We do it.
Yep. So that's pretty neat, and they enjoy those too. Get them a little break from some of the other stuff that they have to do all the time. So, anyway, fun stuff. Okay, a little more look ahead planning wise. So mentioned that the SMED, so we will be recalculating all of our point totals, and what this plan will, where we sit to make sure we're still on track to meet those permit requirements. We've talked about this, I think, before, but we don't like to chase points with our projects. We want to have projects that we like and that we want to build and that are important for us to build. And on the way, we get enough points to meet the permit requirements, rather than the other way around. It's like, we really don't like that project too much, but it's got a lot of points, so we're going to build it, right? So we try to stay out of that kind of situation as much as possibly can. So far, we're doing pretty good. Mentioned the continued sub-basin retrofit planning. So as part of our stormwater management action planning under the permit, we're looking at Mill Creek, Padden Creek, Curtin Creek to look for some more project opportunities. Deforestation, we're always looking for where the next round of those is going to come from. And then I mentioned the asset management is going to ramp up considerably as part of our SMAP project. We'll be working on developing that pipe inspection program a lot more heavily in 2026, as well as the sweeping program, which is a requirement. That one we have to have all in place by 2027. But we will have it before that. And then resuming long-term capital planning. Back in 2019, we started a 20-year capital planning process involving the Clean Water Commission pretty heavily at the time. And we got to the point of having a little bit of a framework developed and kind of a short document that we put together, and everything got tabled for pandemic and resource constrictions and everything else. So we're really looking forward to getting back into that realm in 2026. So there is something I'm hoping to commandeer several folks off of this body to help with and work on. So looking forward to that. Mark your calendars sometime in 2026. So, all right. And I think we might have one more slide. Yeah, schedule and steps. I alluded to some of this, but so we were back in August. Well, yeah, we were doing SEPA work on this back in July through August. We were at the Planning Commission a couple times in August for that hearing and work session. Deeb on September 4th. Here tonight with you all. And then our last two touches are October 15th. We'll go to council with this, essentially the same presentation with a couple other things for a work session with them. And then hopefully November 4th is our target date for that adoption. And then in early December, council adopts the budget and it all becomes real. They do. I think that is it.
Got the part to buckle your chin strap.
Right. Yes. Yes. Helmets required. I think that's the last one else, but yeah. All right. So kind of blasted through that, but if there are any questions, happy to chat about that. I think the actual matrix that I sent out to you, Alex, to get to the folks. You should have the matrix. Yeah, anytime if anyone wants to just give me a call, talk about specific projects. What the heck is this stupid thing in there? All those kinds of things, happy to do so. A quick apology once again this year. It just didn't happen to get to this group and get into this stuff at the level we wanted to with the group. So I do still have that as a target, not just the 20-year stuff, but to kind of get a little more ahead of the capital planning process so that a draft of that matrix can be a little more ready to go and have a little bit more interaction with this group earlier. Just a matter of trying to get our schedules wangled around so that we can get it done at that point. But always happy to talk about it. There are questions or comments.
You mentioned at the outset that you don't create projects for new development.
Yeah.
Well, those projects are subject to whatever development regulations are in place. I guess the Western Washington Stormwater Manual would be talking about best management practices.
Yep.
And what development needs to do in order to meet those standards.
That's correct.
And has that changed at all in the last couple of years? Has it become more rigorous, or is it
Not a whole lot recently. So I think the last time it really changed was with the LID requirements one permit ago. So I think the newest permit that we started in 24 didn't have any like earth shattering changes. but they're all quite a bit tighter than stuff, 20 years ago. As far as like the big switch was when they went from single event modeling to using the Western Washington hydrologic model, or continuous modeling for sizing stormwater facilities and developing what you need to do to treat or control. So that was a huge change, but that's been years now. So
Wasn't the division working on something to
Yeah.
update the code? Or,
So we're required every 5 years to implement any changes to the Western Washington Stormwater Manual. They're called mandatory significant changes, and we don't really have an option not to. So we're in the process of incorporating all of those changes. But then during that, we also have the opportunity to make non-significant, non-mandatory changes. And so we've been working through we're calling it the CATS, County Action Team on Stormwater, or the CAT PAC. And it includes people from community development engineering, review, and then we have engineering construction managers. Our county engineer has been involved. And so a lot of people over time have just been keeping track of maybe there was something that could be more clear or verbiage that are changed, some of these non-significant things, but we are also making some more significant changes that we determined were necessary around like groundwater mounding analysis, infiltration testing, using phosphosorb cartridges. So these are things that not only, they change how the work is done, but also help us meet some of our goals, like we're reducing nutrients and avoiding situations where we have groundwater backing up into our facilities because the mounding analysis maybe didn't look deep enough. And so I'm really excited about it. And we have a lot of new staff too. So we're creating checklists to help support our internal staff when they're reviewing to understand what they need from a geotechnical perspective. And also part of it will be creating resources for the development community to also understand our new standards. And so we've gotten through the process to submit to ecology the required significant non-negotiable changes. And now we're in the process where in the next year we have to incorporate everything else. And then we have to go through planning, Clean Water Commission, DEEB, and Planning Commission, and then council to get it approved through a public hearing. So we still have a long ways to go. Well, we have a lot to do in a short time frame, in a year. And at some point, I do think that's something that we need to make a priority for our agenda to go through in detail. And we can ask our consultant, OTAC is the prime on that, and the sub is Haley and Aldrich for the geotechnical work.
thank you.
Exciting.
The other thing that's always ongoing is, technology is getting theoretically better, or it's at least advancing and evolving. And so there are always new treatment BMPs that may not be required under the permit or under the manual, whether it's the Washington manual or the county manual. But if they go through certain approval processes, they call it TAPE, Technology Assessment Protocol Ecology, I think, TAPE process, then they can get what's called a general use level designation, a gold approval, and then those new technologies can be used just as though they were already in the manual, right? They don't have to be, but you can use those things. And so there's always stuff like that coming out. The phosphosorb cartridges are one, right? They have a GULD approval from ecology to be used, even though they're not technically a thing that's mentioned in the manual. So always stuff like that, and when those come along and they're valuable for us, obviously we're doing that, and we're encouraging the community, the development community to do it as well, even if it's not required. So they have choice at this point. So,
yeah, it's really exciting. That's how like private sector innovations get added, and that will happen through the manual. And there were some new redevelopment thresholds that we've had to incorporate, as well as some new BMPs for PCB source control. So there, we could provide you with an overview of what ecology told us we have to do, as well as some of the things that we're choosing to do. Yeah. Priority for 2026. I mean, I don't know, we have slated for December, but we could either give a presentation. December might be tough. February, we can talk about when it makes sense to bring that to the commission.
Yeah, maybe when the new commissioner are all like, like we got a
Here.
full group. Yeah, it might be better, and that would be something pretty meaty for them to kind of get engaged with right up front.
Super meaty, but
Oh yeah,
I don't think I'm not supposed to talk about.
we'll have to bring
future
coffee
candidates.
that meeting. It's a little dry, but
I think it's, well, or you'll have people who really nerd
okay, good. That could be.
out on it.
All right. Well, if no other questions, thank you very much for tolerating me for a few minutes today and letting me talk about capital stuff.
I have a question. What project are you most excited about?
Coming up or ongoing?
Just well, both. Ongoing and then coming up.
I am most excited in the ongoing project at Heritage Farm, just because that one's been in the works for a very long time. So we're really excited to get that finished. Continues to run into some challenges recently as today, but we're working through those as we go. Really good team. So that one's exciting. And then going into next year, I don't know if I call it project necessarily, but that the whole pipe inspection program development and its nexus with future capital plans is exciting. Another thing that we've been needing and wanting forever, right? And so it's nice to be able to finally kind of get in the ground on that. Make some progress.
Besides like the condition analysis on the pipe, capacity analysis and future development and loading, is there a plan to somehow get to that at some point after at least you assess what's condition, the condition is there?
Yeah, this will be, it'll be primarily looking at condition and risk, risk level, to prioritize where we might want to go. I think there will be opportunities to also be cleaning, right? Because we're going to have to clean some of these systems before we can even really drive them, right? Yeah. Which is also a good thing, because that hasn't been done in a routine manner at all. And when we do get into these systems, we know that some of those pipes, there's sags and there's all kinds of stuff. You end up with sediment accumulation, which is constricting them to some extent, right? Reducing our capacity. And we have the ability to do some capacity modeling, right? Once we know what we've got, oftentimes we're not sure what the sizes are until we actually get down there. We've got stuff mapped, but we don't really know anymore was it actually 24 or was it a 12, right? So those kinds of things pop up. So yeah, so it'll be interesting. I think we'll certainly have more knowledge about multiple things, not just the conditions. So
We had talked about that a little bit last night with some folks in Camas at a community conversation thing. The integration of the comp plan, we were asking in the big picture, okay, how much water is available? How are you handling stormwater in very low slope areas? How much sewer, and just big, like gross macro type questions. And that's just as flat as the county is, places it's just like, how's that work?
Yep. Well, it gets back to kind of what we were talking about a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the climate impacts and things like that, right? For all that capacity. So I think they'll tie together. And sure, if we're in the systems and we're looking at them and trying to maximize what they can do, take them back to their peak, essentially, right? Then we can see what does that do? Does that get us? Do we have any slack there, or are we right up against it if we start getting bigger storms? Those kind of things, and we can tell where to do that in a more high priority way. Right? Like where are the spots that we may have a problem sooner with a bigger system? So if we get this wrong, we're really in trouble. Yeah, all that. So yeah, that'll be fun. That'll be good.
Don't have too much fun.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. It's important to have fun. Thank you for all of your work, Jeff. I'm always impressed when you go through this that you are doing and delivering all of this on top of everything else you do. So, and this is like big, but it has taken me a long time to really truly get up to speed on all of the capital work. And so I'm always impressed every time we revisit it.
A lot of good people working on this stuff. Yeah. Really good engineers and survey and project managers. So yeah, the teams that work on this stuff are really good. I get the easy part. I should have talked about.
Yeah, how many people are coordinating within the county outside of our group? Like, for example, you mentioned the PM, you have engineering, construction, just in general, like how many
Oh, like
people
on-
are you
on a
working with
typical project?
on each of these?
Oh yeah. Well, there's probably 8 to 10
For each
people
project.
on each team, you know, like a project team. But then behind the scenes, there's multiple others working on various things. So yeah, yeah, there's a lot that goes into these. That's yeah, you guys all know that. But
A lot of
it
coordination.
takes a lot of folks doing very specialized stuff to have it all work at the same time. I'm always really impressed with seeing how that process goes. So
So if you're building 5 and there's 8 to 10 people, that's what, 40 to 50
Yeah.
that you're working with.
yeah,
at
some
once?
of them are the same people, but yeah. Cool.
Okay, our next order of business is work group updates. Start with the climate change implementation group.
Well, we can have a little bit of a choose your own adventure here. John is not here, but Tracy is. I was not at this meeting and John provided the updates. So Tracy, if you wanted to lead this, that's fine. If you want, I can read what John submitted. I cannot answer your questions though. That's all on Tracy. So what do you want to do?
I'll just say that John and I had talked about rolling the climate change group, Rudy, if you're okay with it, or if, I don't know if we need approval or whatever, into the non-point source pollution group. Because it's so intertwined anyways. That's all I have to
Sure.
say.
Okay. Well, why don't I just read what John put in? The August meeting, which was August 13th, that was Tracy and John. They met with Jeff, Alice, and Devin. That August meeting focused on better understand. I'm going to say we, but I wasn't there. Just want to be clear about that. The August meeting focused on better understanding of how the county considers climate change in their capital project prioritization, that is to say, design and implementation. We learned that while the state has climate change built into the prioritization criteria, the county still needs to. I don't know if that's still true as of now, but we discussed ways to use climate change model outcomes and build simple climate change considerations into their existing criteria. And we wrote a letter, which we're going to talk about here in a bit, supporting the county's climate change elements of the comprehensive plan. We'll discuss this letter, and if finalized, it will be sent to Clark County Council and the Clark County Planning Commission. And then finally, climate change is included in the non-point source pollution symposium. So yeah, if you all want to roll this climate change into the non-point source group, sure.
Devin, were we going to reserve that to December to kind of
I
hammer that out?
think to talk more about, I think that would be great. I will say that we as staff made that initial recommendation that we combined those topics at the top of the year. So I would, of course, be in support of that, but I would want to hear commission discussion before we make any changes.
Would that be, when you say roll it into the symposium group, when our symposium ends on October 28th, do we keep this subgroup alive then and continue on in a different way?
It's a great question. I think the subgroup was initially just non-point source pollution because we heard that the commission was interested in nutrient reduction, septic systems, best management practices, and a part of that topic is a symposium. And so I would, say that temperature is a pollutant. It's linked to climate change. It's linked to lack of riparian vegetation, and so ecology manages temperature as well as like a pollutant through TMDL and non-point programs. And so I think it would fit nicely. It would be a commission discussion to determine if non-point and climate change will continue to be a priority. And if so, I do think combining the topics, from my perspective, makes a lot of sense. Allison?
I'll just chime in to say I felt like from the non-point source work group, we spent a lot of time just drafting the agenda for a symposium and kind of getting all of our ducks in a line for that. And I agree that climate change should be a part of the symposium, but it did feel like that group, with my limited experience on it, was just very hyper focused on a symposium. So if there's other priorities that this climate change work group has, then I would like to see those separate. But if it's really just about integrating into the symposium better, then I'm all for keeping them or trying to combine them.
And I might
I have
recommend,
some, go ahead.
I was just
go
gonna
ahead.
say, Glenn mentioned it. I think in December we have some time to debrief on work group and talk a little bit more about their future and what we do. So I would encourage us to have more discussion then, but please really share your final thoughts.
Yeah, at first blush, I don't see the connection between the two, but I also, am coming clean. I was not part of the last meeting, and to me, I still am a little unclear as to what the climate change work group is meant to accomplish. So I don't really have any, I'm ambivalent about whether it goes in there or not. But an example of a climate change topic that could matter, depending on what you wanted this group to function as, is, are your stormwater systems that Jeff was just talking about prepared to handle the increase in atmospheric rivers that are going to come our way? What are those design specs being run to? How is the county going to look at those increased treatment costs, runoff costs, impacts to infrastructure, that sort of thing? But if that's not what that group's doing, that doesn't really matter. So I guess I just need to get better educated on what the outcomes of that work group are meant to be, and then I would be able to form an opinion on that.
Thank you, Rudy.
Okay, if that completes the discussion of the climate change implementation, the next group is community engagement and inclusion. But do we have anybody ready to report on that subgroup?
I'm happy just to say that we have not had a meeting, I believe, since the last Clean Water Commission meeting. We have our upcoming meeting on October 22nd to kind of repick. I'm totally drawing a blank on our former member. I apologize that I had to step down. We are minus one person in this group. So we're figuring out our next steps and priorities during our next work group meeting on the 22nd. Emily, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I don't think we've met since our last August meeting, but I'm glad to see though that Eric and John presented 2 nights away. That's fantastic.
And Allison, I don't have that October 22nd meeting on my calendar, but if you can just maybe
I will.
you send it. Okay, great. Thank you. I will be there.
The next subgroup is the non-point source pollution, specifically the symposium, which John has ably led for some time now. But since he's not here, who wants to report on that?
Some
I've talked
updates
too
that-
much. Tracy, you go for it.
Oh, we're volunteering other people. Is that how it works?
I think it's called voluntold.
Well, I believe that the symposium agenda is moving right along, and I know that the save the date has gone out, and I know that Devin has reached out to potential speakers, and I'm not sure how many of those that she's heard back from, because I'm not the grand poobah like John is, and I know that he's out to sea right now, so I'm not sure what's happening.
I wonder where he is. I can give you a quick update, and I also typed it up, and I can pass it around here, but I'll email it out. I was just compiling this before I came up here, so the invite went out to 260 plus people, which is wild. All the information is on the commission website. The registration was sent, the form to register was sent out as well. We only have 40 people registered right now, and I say we only, it's only October 1st. We've only done 1 email, and so for our next step, we'll be sending out a reminder email along with a news release just to push people to come. And there's likely people who haven't registered. Like I do not think all their speakers are registered. So we're still pushing on that and hoping to get higher numbers. Last year we had about 110. So we'll see what happens over the next month, but we can keep you updated on those numbers. As far as speakers, we have confirmed that the College Tribe will be coming. Tana Engdahl is an elder. She'll be coming to give a welcome and a blessing and is very excited about that. Counselor Chair Sue Marshall will also be there to give a welcome. Unfortunately, we had Counselor Matt Little signed up to give a welcome, but he will be out hunting and regrets that he cannot join. So I am interested in discussing some potential backups to add to that, whether or not we want to go with another counselor or a commissioner welcome or a public works director or another local elected official. We don't necessarily need to make that decision now, but I have identified some backups that I would like to talk with folks about. We have Jenna Kay confirmed to talk about climate change. We have someone from our team who will be presenting on the Stream Health Report. Ecology is confirmed to talk about Washington State TMDLs and their non-point program. We have the Conservation District presenting on livestock BMP work. Our septic and sewer panel came through. We have somebody from Clark Regional Wastewater District coming, Department of Ecology's septic program. City of Vancouver has confirmed to talk about their septic program, as well as Clark Conservation District. We're still waiting on somebody from Clark County Public Health, though. The main program director recently retired, so we'll be communicating to try to find the best person. And we've outreached to them. We just haven't heard back yet. We have the Kailash Eco Village confirmed. And then I have Stormwater Management Action Plan listed on here for sediment because the city of Seattle, unfortunately, has said they cannot attend unless they're able to present remotely. So we unfortunately aren't able to have them, but we're meeting with them before to learn more about their programs and see if we can glean anything to put together, to put some information into our presentation. Unfortunately, Clark County Historical Museum declined. That was very sad. And I was like, do you have a backup? But I'm hoping that our comprehensive plan presentation can help cover some of that historical land use change. We also had the climate change lead of Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife decline. She's in Seattle. I'm not sure if it has to do with travel or just availability, but I've identified a few options for backup that we might consider. Another decline, we got a decline from Watershed Alliance. I was surprised. And so
that she may actually be presenting, so we need to follow up.
okay, fantastic. That would be great because I was bummed to hear that, and was going to recommend a backup of either Friends of Trees or WSU's lawn care team, or their master gardeners that does a lot of lawn care education, but I haven't heard back from Sunrise
Yeah,
yet.
could you reach out to Sunrise, because I had a conversation with her this week.
Okay,
And she's gone for a while, so I won't be able to follow up, but I think she would like to hear from you and
okay.
if you're still on board.
Are you going out to see too?
Northern one's Portugal.
Oh, I heard Portugal's great. I'm jealous. I'm going to write that down. Watershed Alliance. Speakers, there's a few speakers we have not heard back from yet that I'm still poking. But I have identified some alternative speaker options for us to talk to. So I think as a next step, I'd like to have communication over, whether it's via email, putting together a meeting with the non-point group to identify some speaker options for those who have are not available. We do also have the option, our speaker times were only slated for like 20 minutes a piece, which is rapid fire. So if at the end we need to lengthen some of the speaker slots, we can, or we have the option to decide to shorten the symposium time. So just wanted to present that. I know that's a lot to unpack, and John, our, what do you guys call him, the grand, is not here. And so I do recommend we have some more discussion, but we do, the positive thing is, yes, some people decline. Yes, we haven't heard back from some, but we also have a lot of great people confirmed. So I'm really excited.
So are we allowing people to walk into the seminar? Do we have to be registered?
anyone can show up, and we'd like people to be registered because we plan to provide refreshments.
Right.
But if we wouldn't turn somebody away if they show up. We do have a large space reserved, so we're hoping we have a lot of people come. I forgot to mention, we haven't heard back from anyone at Tacoma or Pierce County. I think you mentioned some names, Allison. So I'm not sure if you have any other recommendations or ideas to reach out to them, or even if King County might want to present. So wanted to let's just have another meeting or discuss, touch base over email. Sounds like you won't be available, but I can at least connect with Allison and Tracy, and hopefully have a plan in place. John gets back on October 17th, so I want to make sure he's happy when he gets back with where we've landed. He's put so much work in. That's the update I have. So at least 40 people coming already.
How many invited?
I sent the email out to 260, but it was only sent once as a blast, and we technically have not issued a news release yet. So I do suspect there'll be a final push. If we could, I don't know how many we had registered last year, but we had 100 show up, and we definitely didn't have all of those people RSVP'd. So if we get to, we haven't set any goals around registration, but I would love to see us double that number if we can. So tell all your friends. And I'll be at the Conservation District's board meeting tomorrow and ask for them to help push it. And then work with Eric and to figure out how he can push it. And we have an open house on October 8th where I can also have information to try to push it out to more people.
Well, maybe you could say that for those people who registered, lunch will be provided.
Yes, yeah. Please come, there'll be lunch. All right, I will follow up.
With any ports, I know last year we had Port of Vancouver, do you think this topic is
That's a good question. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe the port. They've done some cool stormwater stuff.
Port of Vancouver's had a significant stormwater program in place because they've had some serious pollution issues. They might want to talk about that. How one entity can make some significant changes in how they treat their stormwater.
And I put some backups on here. I think there's quite a few options. Like we have our lands program. I mentioned Friends of Trees, Master Gardeners. We have 2 fish focused groups. There's other agricultural options. I think that I mentioned King County, Allison, if you have anyone you could pull. And another option would be, hey, we had the Lacamas and Vancouver Lake Symposiums, and we've done all this work and giving a general lakes update to keep us focused on that endpoint receiving water. At our last symposium, we were mid-project, and now the project for Vancouver is done, and there's been a lot of progress made too on Lacamas that I think we owe the community a report on. So,
Is it just too challenging to try to allow for any kind of virtual presentation?
I think it's honestly, I want to avoid logistical nightmares. We are able to stream it, but as far as having a virtual speaker, I would prefer to keep our speakers in person just to avoid. I'm sorry, I'm going to make sure I'm following the chat. I can't see them all. I like the idea of including an update on lakes. Happy to chat more. Tracy's taking care of our animals. Tracy mentioned having more time for the panel discussion. I think that's great. So yeah, sorry, I would avoid. I mean, going to an in-person conference to watch a virtual speaker too, I think is a little bit of a bummer. So that is the update I have. I will follow up with the subcommittee to discuss some of the considerations that I outlined. Coming soon.
Okay, the next work group update is the rate study implementation.
Very short and sweet. I was the long pole in the tent this time, couldn't make a meeting last minute. And so we aborted on a meeting we were going to. However, I think if we shoot for the end of October, if there's some calendar coordination, if you could regenerate that. I now have some better refinement in my calendar, so
Good.
at least I'll give you that input. And we can keep going forward. The biggest things we're really trying to, get our arms around how do we define success? And, per Jeff's, pretty eloquent discussion about risk, how do we measure some of that and try to get our arms around a couple of items and, just do a couple good, and call it a day. This isn't got to be a massive system or anything to recreate the wheel, but it seemed like there were some tools the county had, whether it was Tableau and some data access, and, figuring in budgets and, different ways to track things that may elevate and daylight some things that just by displaying data, that we haven't gotten to. So it's just more, I think, probing some of those ideas that may be opportunities and getting the feedback from the staff who has to use it. And then, if there are any recommendations to implement, to have to live with whatever we collectively come up with. So that's kind of the genesis of what we're trying to see there. I think there's some potential for, it's just getting everybody aligned and getting the folks together. So I'll shoot note to you and we'll start again on the calendar. Thanks. All right.
I think your next.
Real quick, if you all don't mind. So going back to that, the implementation group, the only day I have available in October is the 31st.
Spooky. I mean, that works for me.
Yes, that does.
Super sorry. I mean, yeah.
I can make that work.
Okay.
Wear your costume. Just kidding. Bad joke.
I'm going as Jeff Lebowski from The Big Lebowski, so I can make that happen.
Anyone else dressing up for Halloween?
31st is doable for me.
31st doable.
Works for me.
Oh, it works for all of us.
Rock and roll.
Cool. I will.
Thanks, Rudy.
I'm looking forward to it. It's a Friday. That was easy. Looking forward to that discussion.
All right. SNAP. So we did meet, got a, I think, nice overview in terms of some consultant work that's happened on the SMAP so far. They're pressing on 3 pretty major tasks. And I think from all intents and purposes, they're doing what they said they were going to do. And it seems like from a distance, they're doing it great. So I think the next steps that we're really trying to understand are, is there any value add to looking at some of either the risk elements of that program too, as another thing. And then, how we're really interested in the before and after criteria and assessment of the 6 and 20-year plan. And Jeff intimated that there's a lot of, existing framework in place to be able to make those assessments, as well as the point totals, that you have to go kind of quote chase, not chase, but so we really want to learn more about that especially with the 20-year as that shapes up. I think that's the one that I don't understand as well. I've never done a 20-year, been involved in a 20. So be interesting to see how you're approaching that. And again, this is just a function of, can some of the commissioners, add value by looking at what's going on. No intention whatsoever to try and hand manage anybody's schedule, work product, review, comment. It's just to maintain situational awareness on it and see if there's any value we can add. So,
And I think part of the product is prioritizing locations. And I would love to have awareness of what those are. I mean, not that there's a field trip that can be involved with that, but just having
And right now, all we have is 70 problem areas, and we have public open house next Wednesday. If you'd want to come from 5:30 to 7:30, there'll be pizza and ice cream where we're asking the community about their thoughts on problem areas where we need stormwater projects. So, if we come out of that with 70 more, then we'll be going through the process with our consultants and narrow it down.
So
And
that's
Wednesday, October 8th, it's at,
I'm out of town.
oh,
All right,
you're there. in
we'll go.
spirit.
But it's hybrid.
Oh, you can listen
Ah,
in.
Yeah, maybe I
It
do
is
that.
hybrid.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
And that there's a website. It's clark.wa.gov, and I don't know what it's Salmon Creek Solutions. Just Google
Yeah, it's-
Salmon
We'll send
Creek
it to you.
Solutions.
Yeah, okay.
It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say Eric is doing a tremendous amount of work on the outreach piece of that SMAP, and it looks pretty cool. He's really noodling hard on it. So more to follow on.
And it's amazing how much logistics goes behind it. Like today, Eric and I, like, we're both managers, and he's like, how are we going to get the ice cream there? Where do we get it? Who buys it? Where do we store it? And so this is a lot of little things. Yeah, right? Oh.
All right. Any other questions or comments, thoughts? All right, thank you.
Takes us to the last working group, which is the bylaws
Yeah.
subcommittee.
So Alice, John, and I met. We framed up some candidate ideas. Just tried to really take a close look at what's there. Looked at it, I think, in terms of practicality too, of, this implementable, and so rolled all those into the document. So we've got a lot of, little reds here and there. And now I think, that's back into the system. Alice has got it. She was going to staff that for legal review, especially. And our goal is to bring that back into the December meeting and get everybody's collective feedback. I think, if we can daylight that document ahead of the meeting, it would be really useful to get everybody a heads up and kind of get familiar with what's there. The intent is not to change wholesale what we're doing. It's just to clarify, in many cases, just procedures and, getting more efficient and effective, I think, as a commission is kind of the goal that we set out to try and accomplish. I think that's about it on that. Did you have any thoughts or input yet, Devin? Have you seen what we wrote up?
I did review it, and I think I don't recall having significant concerns about your markup. I think some of the things that I was digging into were probably, Alice was like, Devin, this is meant to just be a cursory corrections, like changing Clark County Commission to counselors. And I was like, okay, take a step back. And I'm looking forward to discussing it more because I think it's directly related to the conversation about code and the goals of this commission. So
Good.
more discussion, I think, to come, but I think it would be helpful for us to circulate and discuss and review those as a group.
And we can always get the low hanging fruit, the easy things that maybe need to be adjusted. And then if there are more significant things, they can be something that we can also do for bylaws and update them next year too.
Sure.
So if for some reason, and that's kind of my take on it, is that my goal is no matter what, I would really like to have the minor cleanups taken care of and voted on at the December meeting. And then if there are any of the other things that are potentially significant, discussions or whatever can happen after all the review and everything happens, and then it can go forward with the rest of the commission voting on it in early sometime in 26.
Yeah.
But it's because I know we've only met once and just started working on it. So, I think it's a good process. I think, it'll get there.
Yeah, and the other piece I think that's relevant with the December tie-in too is the nomination and election of officers. So the chair, vice chair positions are open, and whatever, wherever we land, at that point, I think it's, it's got the watchword implementable. I mean, those are the officers that have to kind of live with, execute, use that framework to best, lead, guide, manage what we're doing or trying to attempt to do here, especially like into work groups and all the other things that we're trying to catch our stride on. So just kind of keep that in mind as a bigger picture. And
I liked Alice's suggestion of, take care of the necessary cleanup. Thanks for clarity. I always get the word wrong. Scrivener there, it's like council, the
Scrivener.
commission, Scrivener. I do think one of the things about legal and staff review is public work has multiple commissions, and then other departments have multiple commissions. And so, what I haven't done that I think is likely valuable is having a chance to take a look and compare what we have to others, if there's anything we can learn. And then also, I know my supervisor is on, and she's over a lot of these. There's the parks, there's a railroad, there's the Clean Water Commission. There's in partnership with our leadership and the legal team, just making sure there's some consistency. But I think that sounds more like a 2026 exercise. There's no way. That is not considered, I would say, a minor cleanup or a minor exercise. Thank you. I'm glad you guys fit that in.
And Tracy back.
Oh, wait. I'm going to run to the restroom really quick, but please proceed. I don't have to do this.
The order of business will be approved through Clark County Comprehensive Plan climate change element support letters. I don't think we need to have a motion to individually. I think we can collectively just vote on both of them. Assume that that we are in support of those letters since they were drafted, approved by members of this commission. Was there any discussion on this item before we go to a vote? Okay, seeing none, then I would entertain a motion to approve the two letters of support.
I will move.
With second? Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying yes or raising your hand. Yes.
Aye.
Or yes, or
Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And that takes us to the staff liaison report. Alice?
Okay. Commissioner recruitment update. We again have had just a great pool of candidates, very super competitive yet again, which is really great. We completed our interviews last week and will be, I was waiting for a little bit of data from somebody, and they got back to me back in the office and were able to actually get me the information I needed late this afternoon. So I'll be sending out the staff recommendations to the county manager tomorrow, and I've been working with her staff on streamlining and making sure the process goes. And we hope to have them confirmed, appointed by the county manager and confirmed by council before the December meeting, most likely, fingers crossed, November. And I would like to thank Commissioner DeWilly for serving on the panel. It was really great to have him. He had some really great insights. At this time, I am not, we have not had a chance to notify all the candidates yet of where the process is, but I will be speaking to everybody in the next day or so. So I will be getting back to everybody on where the recommendations are for for the appointments moving forward. So that's really good. As for the 2025, it's already the end of the year. It just speeds by so fast. So please send me your pictures of, out and enjoying the local streams and rivers and lakes and people and horses, and especially where we have such a non-point source pollution focus this year with the symposium. I would love to have any type of pictures and things like that to be able to put in the report, as well as any of the updates that are going on. And then also, like Commissioner DeLilly said, we'll be having at the next meeting, we will be electing a chair and vice chair. And I have heard that there's at least one of our leadership who he got his arm twisted really hard last year to take over the chair position. And he may not want to do it again, but maybe he will. Maybe I can keep twisting it.
Let me, I was going to bring this up in roundtable discussion, but let's talk about it now.
Clear.
I served as chair for a good part of 2024 and all of 2025. And so I think it's time to pass the gavel to someone else. So I would invite all of you to consider stepping up to a leadership role in this body, because I will be stepping down. So
That's what I figured. I didn't want to overstep with that. So be thinking about that, and we can move forward with that. And if you have questions about how the process works, read your bylaws. It's in there. It's very, very well laid out. And then also just a couple little things that have already been mentioned. We do have a couple upcoming events. The stormwater, the SMAP, the Salmon Creek Solutions. We are next Wednesday having the open house at Ruth Bader Ginsburg Elementary, and that's pizza and ice cream, and they will have activities for kids to be doing, so you can actually pay attention and listen to things. So it'll be very family oriented, and I know that they're getting a lot of information out about that. Highly encourage you to attend and let us know and send out as much as you can. I think Eric said that he sent out something like 37,500 mailers about this. So hopefully a lot of people come.
How do you know how much pizza we need?
That is actually logistically, we were talking about that this afternoon, that may be
We'll find out. You let us
I know.
The good thing is they're doing the presentation before the refreshments. So if we don't have enough pizza, we can always.
I hear Domino's delivers. So anyway, or whomever. So anyway, that's potentially that. Yeah. So I hope that that's our problem. And then also just a quick reminder, the Stormwater Partners Symposium is going to be November 20th. And I put that in your packets. And Eric will probably be sending out an invite for that. So, and then we'll have a new, depending on what the new Clean Water Commissioners, there's 5 positions, 3 are up for the 3-year terms and 2 are one in the schlibet of a term. They will have, I know. We'll have orientation in December or potentially in January, depending on what's going on with everybody's schedules. So that is that. Does anybody have any questions for me? That's all I have.
I just wanted to acknowledge, thank you for putting together this calendar that summarizes everything for the rest of the year. I think it's super helpful. I want to make this big and print it out and hang it. I don't know if you mentioned this because I stepped out for a moment. Eric Lambert will be on KPTV.
Oh, right. Sorry.
13th, so he was able to do a segment. I don't know what time that's going out. We're hoping we can get to share that and watch that. So lots, you can kind of get a sense of what's ahead, including major as well as in the division digest, there's a list of some of the key dates between now and the end of the year for both the budget as well as commission, council, and staff. Yeah, this is great. And you said you're stepping down as chair, not as a commissioner or the commissioner?
Correct.
Okay, good. Whew,
Yeah.
I almost,
No, he just said he was not gonna be the chair.
all right, that makes me feel better. Okay, I have to acknowledge something funny, guys, really quick. I just went to the restroom with my mic on and forgot to turn it off. So if anyone, if anyone online, okay, good. I'm hearing it, this thing's shaking. I was so nervous. I was like, I'm just gonna address it. Okay, we're good. I'm human too, right? So as a reminder, if you have your mic on, just mute it. That could have went really badly. I'm glad it did. So go ahead, Tracy.
Did you know that that happened with someone on the Supreme Court when it was like COVID? Somebody went to the bathroom and it was completely audible.
That's what honestly I was gonna message I messaged Jenny, my supervisor, like I just thought it'd be easier just to address it. So be careful, guys. Reminder to everybody. So I don't really have any formal slides prepared, but we did put together a division digest. Hopefully you had a chance to thumb through it. I think this is a huge just process improvement, and Alice facilitates reaching out to all the managers, getting all the updates, putting it together, all the formatting, and it's long. But it's really exciting because we not only get to share it with you, we get to share it with our leadership, we get to share it with our communications team, and it like creates a little archive. So at the end of the year, we can look at all we've done, because all this 13 pages we've done in the last 2 months, really. So I am happy to take any questions about things you saw in here, or if it'd be helpful to skim through it. Otherwise, I'd just say, hey, give it a read. And in general, it looks like Alice put together a few slides, so I will hit on those if you want to go back. But thoughts or feedback on the division digest? Any questions? Helpful? You appreciate the thoroughness. I think it also helps us tell our story about all the things people don't see, like ordering hard hats and scheduling team retreats and going on picnics and
training budget orders.
yes, training our staff and yeah,
I've been in finance firms that they'll get a nickel for, they may get you your PE license renewal. That's it.
That's it.
So props to the county for doing that. That's big investment in
too much
people.
to share.
3%.
It's exciting. And so there are a lot of just things going on with our people in the background that take up a lot of time, but it is the most important thing we can do, because without our people, we can't do the work.
And so moving forward, you plan on reading this every month for the meeting?
That is the plan. They may not always be this long, but we at a minimum would like to give programmatic updates. And then I try to, Alice always reminds me, write something, and it's a little bit longer than I had hoped, but I try to add a little bit of just a friendly note on all the things that we've done in the background that, yeah, you might not hear about. So any feedback you have, though, on the type of information you want, numbers, any way we can continue to improve this. If you like more photos, anything like that, just happy to continue to provide this. I do want to mention that we have added 3 new staff since our last meeting. So if you go back, Kevin Bone is our engineering technician senior on Jeff's team. Your first official new outside person since for a very long time.
Yeah,
Started.
right.
Since
Yeah.
when?
It's been a while.
Yeah, quite a bit of time. And we're
Long time.
super excited because Kevin
Truly.
is very talented, and he will be working on our stormwater asset mapping. So most of our underground assets and our stormwater infrastructure, if not all of it, has been mapped majority by a man named Henry. He's been here for 20 or plus years, 25. And so we know someday he will decide not to work for the county, but he has mapped everything and we need somebody to continue doing that and understand how he does it. And so Kevin is a part of our succession planning, but also like adding, we have plenty of work he can do, lots of unmapped assets for him to work on. Haley Shannon, we're so lucky. Haley Shannon worked for Public Works, and she supported the whole department. And she's so great that we were like, we need to have her. So now she's dedicated to clean water. And is just, she in the past did all of the work on like hybrid virtual setup for both the Lackness and Vancouver watershed, or Lackness and Vancouver symposiums, and just has a ton of, she updates our website, she takes good photos, she just kind of does it all in the background. They painted the mural, over 400-foot mural, and facilitated all of that. So very talented, kind of can do it all. Very lucky to have her. And then Benjamin Joner, he started today. Happy New Water Year, by the way, October 1st. Very exciting. Ben was previously on our stormwater touring team, so you may have seen him on the bus tour. He also was a code enforcement officer back in the day. He has helped support inspections and now will be a VS permit support position working under Rod Swanson, who's also been here for 35 years and has been the keeper of all of our permit stuff. So we're really excited to have Ben. And coming soon, we're in the process of finalizing the Race and Watershed Coordinator position. So I did have 4 second round interviews on Friday, and I decided to do them as walks. I do not recommend scheduling 4 4-hour walks in one day. I walked 12 to 15 miles by the end of the day, but it was a great time to really talk with people and get to know them and their values around lakes and watersheds and motivations for the position, just who they are. So have not finalized that position, but hope we'll have them by December. And then Jeff will be posting our final position soon.
Hopefully midweek next week.
Very exciting.
Plain. Yeah, and that's Engineering Services Manager 1 to take over what you just saw, the capital planning, right? And so kind of be the lead on that 6-year plan, as well as moving us into that 20-year planning horizon and working with me on those things. So,
Are there any other general questions, or Alice, did you put any? Oh yeah, any questions for me about what we're working on? Anything I owe you? Any emails I may have missed? I hope I'm trying to be as responsive as possible. Wow, if there are no questions, thank you so much. I am very proud, not only of our team, but hearing all the updates on the work groups. From what I've observed, like there's a lot of really good conversation and work coming out of them, especially compared to past commissions. So thank you for the work you do too.
The commissioners who have information they want to share.
Things you're doing in the community, things you're working on, or things
ahead.
you've heard about.
You shared the Lewis River East Port
Mhm.
Connection Tour, and I attended September 11th. That was really interesting to see a part of the county I haven't explored much and see that partnership between Lakes and Williams and Lower Columbia. Just the changing of the watershed there.
You're not on my back anymore. You can have mine. I did the
Doesn't
East
pick
Forest
up very well, but
Lewis River Connection
on.
Tour, and it was really great to get boots on the ground and drive around and see the different projects that they have going on.
Yeah, I'll throw a couple out. In Camas, a couple different things. We've been working as the Earth Day Society on a living lab. It's an outdoor classroom for the 5th graders at Prune Hill. Put a lot of sweat equity into that hillside this past summer. And the first class of 5th graders went through this just at the end of September and started another round of fall planting. So a lot of naturescaping. We're putting in some vermiculture now. We're adding a big worm bin get the kids muddy, have some fun outside, and learn about stewardship. We also participated, Sunrise joined with the city of Camas in doing a sponsorship for Lackmas Lake annual cleanup in the fall. They let the lake down to preserve the dam and stuff. And so got a couple of, booths up there, Camas Ivy League, Lackmas Watershed Council, Birthday Society, plus TSMC, who's now doing a lot of work in the community. So good turnout, probably about 150 volunteers out there cleaning up. And then finally, last night, participated in the fourth of a series of what we're calling community conversations, and range from water quality in Camas. It's local to Camas, but we also get a lot of folks from Washougal too. And started with water, moved into land use and land planning, and then rolled it into the comp plan. The city teamed with us last night to talk about middle housing. So we've got a little bit divergent from our, core mission set, but still, the comp planning stuff is I think there's a lot of people very interested in, how the community is going to grow and stuff. So it's interesting to get a feel for community thoughts about that growth, and then with an environmental lens on it, it's a sustainable growth. So plugged in, having fun, and that's it for me.
Sure. Okay, well, I will share a little bit about Vancouver Lake. Once again, after 5 years treatment in 2020, Eurasian milfoil once again emerged in great quantities on Vancouver Lake. And we were warned about this by the applicator back in 2020, but
Oh,
unfortunately.
your mic is off.
Maybe they're getting low on battery.
This one. Oh, okay. Well, we were warned in 2020 that treatment would need to be done again in at least 3 to 5 years, unless annual treatment was done. There was unfortunately, no funding source that was out there that could allow annual treatment to be done. And so once again, we faced this dilemma of this huge mats of milfoil all around, mostly around the south part of the islands, but also around the shorelines and into the rowing lanes, which was the first time we'd seen it in the rowing lanes, not in large quantities, but it was there. And so thanks to Clark County and thanks to Devon's hard work, county stepped up and committed $90,000 toward the treatment. Port of Vancouver agreed to fund the flushing channel treatment work, and Friends of Vancouver Lake went on a fundraising tear and managed to raise just a little over $50,000, including a $20,000 grant from the Lynch Foundation. And so we were able to do, I think, together with the work from the port, probably about $165,000 worth of treatment in the lake that just was finished about 2 weeks ago. Now, going forward, the goal will be to treat every year and to not allow this to happen again. So that's going to take some kind of intergovernmental agreement with our local governmental partners to, and it's not a lot of money. It's probably $10,000 or $20,000 a year from each of the entities to keep this work going, so we don't end up in this situation again. And then last but not least is conclusion of the phase 2 of the lake management planning process, which just wrapped up in the end of July. And I think the final report is going to council or has gone to council.
It has. We've given them an overview, and it's all on our website and online.
Okay. So now we hope to be moving into what's called phase 3. And again, my thanks to Devon and the county and to Department of Ecology for bringing to our attention the opportunity to get a grant. And there's an application pending for $500,000 to finish phase 3. That would be absolutely terrific if we get that and can move forward into preliminary design and actually a project to bring some cleaner water into the lake. So we'll cross our fingers on that one and hope for the best.
Great update.
Yeah.
Anyone online? Anyone else want to share what you've been up to? I'm sure you've all been up to something.
I just been doing more backyard habitat stuff, which is absolutely my favorite volunteer role because I meet the most wonderful people. So it is an honor. It's not really like a chore at all. And in that process, I've really come across quite a few people who are like, oh, I can't do this because of my HOA. And I was super excited that John and Eric met with an HOA. And I would love to, if possible, volunteer to be more involved in that, if that is possible. And I don't know if we can do it in Ridgefield too, or is that out of bounds because it's the city of Ridgefield. But I'm like collecting, people who have HOAs that need to be spoken with because I think you could really make a big difference. Like I was talking to my dentist, he's like, oh, well, I got in trouble for my lawn at my HOA and I know he lives in Ridgefield. So he had to like upgrade his lawn and I was like, oh, we could just take that. He's like, no, I have this HOA and they dinged me. And so that stuff, it just seems like if we could talk with the HOA somehow and get this under control, that, it would really help the environment to nip it in the HOA bud.
Okay, if that ends roundtable discussion, our next item would be 2026 priorities discussion.
Are we,
What's that like?
is that
I
for
think this is-
December?
Priming the pump.
Well, I think what we want to do is, basically talk about the fact that we've got to set priorities for 2026 and that we should be thinking about those in advance of the December meeting. But my thought is that we're bringing all of these new commission members on, and while we can formulate some ideas in December and move forward on those, I would like to engage our new commission members, hopefully initially in January when they have their orientation session, but more specifically in the February meeting to actually drill down and get those priorities established. But I think we should be thinking now for the December meeting, what are our priorities for 2026, and then engage with our new commission members at the next available meeting. But I'd like to entertain what are other commissioners' thoughts about the process?
I certainly make sure that we're including our new commissioners in that process. And so seeing as February would be the first time we'd be meeting with them, I would love to have ideas from this group primed from our December meeting to plant some seeds for the February discussion, but then be ready to have a pretty clear idea by hopefully the end of February, if not sooner after. I just feel like it's easy to be planning in Q1, decide on things too, and then all of a sudden you're halfway through the year before we've done anything with those priorities. So I wouldn't want to go past February is what I'm saying.
We hopefully will have the new appointments potentially online in December at the December meeting, if all goes well.
So they would be in attendance at the December meeting?
Potentially, yes.
Oh,
most
okay, that
likely.
would be great.
And even if they were non-voting, they would have at least been appointed by the county manager. But if for some reason council wasn't able to confirm them, that at least be like Emily was last year, where she attended and participated in the December meeting, but had to wait for her confirmation for the first week of
Okay,
January.
so that would be excellent if we could get our new commissioners on board in December.
Tracy wants to eat cookies.
I mean, we'll say from meeting the candidates, they were great, and I think who we are recommending, they have strong stormwater backgrounds, and many of the things that everyone has talked about today. I think I was thinking about them as you were talking about them and how much value they'll add.
Okay, announcements of any kind?
Just the open house, I hope you can make it, as well as the symposium, and then If you'd like to go to another symposium in November, there's the Stormwater Partners Symposium. So lots of great things coming up. I don't know if I have anything else. Jeff, do you have anything?
So,
So Devin, I know I've asked this question before, but what is our relationship, if any, with Stormwater Partners?
Great question. So Stormwater Partners, it's facilitated by Eric on our team, and he brings all the municipalities together. It has been primarily municipal staff that have attended those. It hasn't really been open to like consultants and private sector participants. I think some nonprofit groups have started to attend. As far as commissioners and elected officials, I'd have to ask Eric, but I'm not aware of any regular participation from commissioners or elected, except potentially attending the symposium, which is an annual event. But I will say the Stormwater Partners is meeting multiple times throughout the year, coordinating, finding ways for them to share resources. I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, I just wondered if there's opportunities for us to engage with them in some way, since we are all in the stormwater business one way or another.
Yeah, I think that would be great. So it's really a partnership amongst all the cities in the county. And I think a good starting point would be to have Eric come talk about it and report a little bit more on the details of, he just, for the first time, officialized the partnership group with an interlocal agreement. So that group had been operating informally and the county had been funding it entirely. So he managed to get all the cities and their councils to buy into this ILA and agree to pay into it so that we're no longer the single funder. And so I think having him come talk about how he did that and what that work is now paying for, because there's a lot of education and outreach work that the county is working with the cities on collaboratively and meeting the requirements through one project rather than all of us doing different things for the same requirement. So it's pretty neat. So maybe the first step would be having Eric come in and talk with us, or asking if there's ever an opportunity for our commissioners to attend as, I would say, well, I don't know if they have a voting mechanism. I would probably benefit from learning a little bit more about how they have self-organized.
same.
But I don't think any commissions are elected. It's mainly stormwater program management level staff that are engaging there, and then they're engaging with their respective councils.
Alice, could you share the agenda of that symposium, the
Yes.
information about it?
Yes, and actually, I think I put it in the packet.
Okay.
It should be in the meeting invite as well as in the on the Google Drive.
Okay.
And if not, I will email it out again as well.
And there is a
And I think he
networking
will be
event.
and I believe he will be sending out, he usually sends out a calendar invite. I don't know if he's sent that out yet though.
And I think the partners have originally were limiting it more to the regulated communities and program implementers, but I know there's been more discussion about potentially opening that up because there have been others who have been interested in understanding what that group has done, but I think it has been a more municipal staff focused group. Were you there?
Yeah, they usually for the symposium, they invite the Clean Water Commission to attend. But I don't know on a regular monthly, when they have their meeting.
I do know that last year they had like a networking happy hour afterwards, and a lot of like private sector consultants showed up to that, but weren't invited to the symposium.
Stormwater Partners. Great, I recommend.
I feel like the last item for discussion is agenda building for future meetings.
Is this related to the survey that we answered for you too?
I think this came out of John asking for a chance to provide input on agenda topics for the next meeting based on anything you heard today. So it's really like any recommendations for December or any requests. I don't think we have any speakers scheduled.
No, I could have Eric.
Oh yeah, we could have Eric come in
I was just
December.
thinking about potentially having Eric if he's available.
Sure, let's ask him.
Yeah, that'd be great. We could do a review of everything they've done. Has everyone heard of or seen the mural yet? I guess that would be my final announcement. It's beautiful. I think, I don't know if a photo of it made it into the packet, but
Yep.
I had the chance to go by it. If you park at Klein Line Pond and walk under the bridge, you can see it. Eric worked to get applications from local artists and ultimately selected 50 different artists to each paint a unique fish and facilitated 50 artists painting those fish. So it was the first time we've ever done this project, but a project like this, but we haven't really, it's also one of the first projects we haven't heard somebody push back on. Like everyone's really excited about the project, and we've heard great stories across the community.
And this is community initiated.
Oh yeah, it was an idea. It came from somebody. I don't know the full story, but I believe she approached our director and was like, "I have this vision for this mural," and caught his ear. And next thing you know, we are supporting a mural being painted, which was not something I think was on our 2025 bingo card. So it's really awesome. But it was so fun to watch too, because all the discussion around how do we manage all this paint and like where do we wash from a pollution prevention perspective. Like we had our source control staff, Bob Patterson was out there like helping with paint management, except there was a spill, washing brushes, and then you see all these packages rolling in and orders of like large buckets of paint and like scaffolding at one point. So it was a really neat thing to like be on the outside and observe. But they had a ribbon cutting and over 100 people came. So drive by it if you haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
It was covered with an anti-graffiti coating, so if it is
Oh,
tagged,
good.
my understanding is that would be.
Hand up.
Tracy, you have a question?
Yeah, I'm curious how people are supposed to clean out their paint from their brushes just curious. What do you advise people to do with that?
I would say that's a good question for Bob Patterson, and I don't have I can't tell you, but I can ask him. I know you asked that question about your mosaic, your mosaic project. So let me get the answer to that and get it back to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that brings roundtable discussion to an end and a motion to adjourn, unless there's any further business from the commission. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I motion to.
I think Rudy moved. Second. And all in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 7:51.
Thanks all.
Be safe,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.